So there was this movie I was watching, and it was about two twins. Um, the one lady, she was a part of the she was an agent. She was part of the CIA, I guess. She was a federal detective. So her and her brother was split up at birth. Well, not at birth, but they were taken from their foster home. They were taken separately from their foster home. And he was a twin. So eventually, like, I guess she had to face her past. And when she was going into these houses, like these crime scenes, before she would walk in there, she would just, tell she would walk in there, she would investigate and, get her evidence and whatnot, a part of her job. But later down the line, she figured out that this home was um was a part of her past. Her it was her foster home. Before, she didn't pay no mind to it. She didn't notice until the end of them. Until later on when her brother got um interfered with into her life. She didn't know that was her brother at the time. But then she went back into like I said, after her job, after she got fired or dismissed as the agent because they thought that she was committing the crimes. So they basically turned all the tables on her and made it seem like she was the one doing everything when she wasn't. Um, her brother was he was doing the crimes. He was battling with ongoing trauma um of their past. So after figuring all this out, I guess I just started thinking about, how eventually the past does come up to you. Like as she was running to like she was chasing this guy. And I'm not sure if the guy was her brother that she was chasing. No, it wasn't him. But she was chasing this guy and she was going through this place like you would think like it was the hood because they was throwing stuff at her. They had guns, they had this, they had that. And it was basically like go back to where you came from. You don't belong here no more. That's all the thoughts that was going in my mind when she was chasing him. Um but more so of the fact that she was a detective. But I'm pretty sure they didn't know that because she wasn't carrying her badge or anything. Agents are really on a down low, so you really don't know who they are until they pull out their badge. So they was throwing stuff at her because she was chasing him, and the whole time she was running through the neighborhood, I'm just like, yeah, I feel like this is a time where she's at the point where she has to face her past. Sometimes it may your life turns out this way when it probably was meant to be that way. The reason why she was I mean, if she had not been in foster care and her life did not go, I mean, she if she didn't follow in the path of her adoptive parents, maybe this would have been a path that she was, heading towards, but she didn't get to because she was, somewhat of a liability, not taking accountability. She that's something she doesn't have to take accountability for because her being a foster child, her foster mom didn't tell her until later on. When she had her career settled, her family and whatnot, she was even angry at her adoptive mom. She was like, okay, so you know you just now telling me, but who am I? She had that question in her mind, like, who am I? Am I an agent or am I just following in your footsteps? So I feel like it was a time where she had to it was all of these distractions, like she was her brother had eventually passed, and before then all he was doing was reaching out to her. There was a point where he came to our family's house disguised as someone else or a rental agent, and she didn't know who he was, and she didn't give him the time of day to explain himself. So he, the whole time, he was just reaching out, and then eventually, he passed, and now she was facing this ghost. Her child was facing this ghost, and this ghost wasn't just a ghost like I'm gonna swipe something off the table, or I'm gonna make you fear me. No, this ghost actually had contact. This ghost can actually kill people. This ghost actually killed her adoptive mom. Split her head right off. So he had that ability to interfere and kill that person as well, or kill people as well. He was doing it before physically, but I don't know. It's something about his ability, because he could pop up like he seemed like a ghost, but he was actually a person. But he was, he had, I guess, a split personality. I guess that's what you call a split personality disorder, to where he can be in one place and be in another thinking he this person. So he put himself in that. But like I said, it was so crazy, to where I'm just thinking like, wow, how he's in one place and then he's in another. They seen him as a killer, but at the same time, no killer can actually you know make him seem like he's supernatural. But yeah, even he wanted to be an actor. Um, that was his that was his life. Like he spent his whole life just trying to be an actor, and he just kept turning him down because they thought he was psychotic, and they thought he was this, they thought he was crazy, so they just kept turning him down. But that's the thing, like when you that's those are the type of people you actually want to be an actor. You want those type of people, because they can play the role better than any person in like a normal mind state, that's kind of afraid to step out of their shell. Um, but yeah, all the stuff that she was going through, I feel like it was more of, it was more of an internal thing. Like she didn't experience this internally. Her mind wasn't, in so many different places at once. It was more, her mind wasn't taking her back to the past. She didn't experience this mentally, but physically she was going through all of these realms of the past, all of the crime scenes um that led back to her past, something that she needs to face. Sometimes our careers can take us so far, to where something so spectacular has to happen for you to actually, you know, figure out, like, it's a lot. It was a lot of spaces in between, so she had to fill those spaces. So yeah, this is just a review on the movie, but as well, I just feel like that's a lesson, to life. Um, I'm actually pull up the movie. It's called Them, and it's called Them the Scare. So not only was she being um messed with, but her son and her husband and his father was being messed with as well. But yeah, that's kind of the lesson I got out of it. So yeah, it's called Them the Scare, and it's very crazy. I was like, this is kind of a black version of it, because he looked like it. Like he had red hair and this and that. Like he looked, and he had his mask on, so it was like a black version of it, and it was real crazy. So yeah, that's the lesson I got out of it, and I just wanted to show y'all that. I just wanted to speak on that, because yeah, it made a lot of sense of how life can happen to you if you don't, I mean, unaware, and how unpredictable life can be. So, you know, yeah. So I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. And that was my feedback on that.